You know what the reality is? I think it's time for Have Hope to just put down the honest truth and say, you know what, you guys are not prepared for the season. You knew that your team was going to struggle this window with the new ownership and everything, and just admit that your transfer window is messy, and this whole situation with the new ownership has messed up your transfer.
Wait, Igal, where's all this aggression coming from?
No, it's because Roy has already said this before, where he feels like the window has been.
So basically, Igal, are you not working because of that 4-0? Fine, take your dub. Let's see what happens during the season.
You have been covering up saying, "Oh, Igal, what are you talking about? We're still going to do everything perfectly fine. It's going to be running perfectly." Todd Bowley, you're batting that window. But the reality is, I said this from the beginning, and I'm saying it now. You guys are not prepared for the window. The reason why you're struggling to get a bunch of your signings in is because there's been so many changes in the back and you've changed your direction so many ways. Nobody knows who your actual first target or your second target or your third target is. It just seems like you're going for every opportunity that comes your way. And the reality of the situation is, you as a Chelsea fan have been trying to hide behind the fact that Todd Bowley is going to get everything right. This is going to happen. But the season's about to start in 8 days, and you still haven't signed your second center-back target. You still haven't signed a midfielder, and you still haven't signed another attacker besides Raheem Sterling. So what are you talking about when you're saying your transfer window is not messy?
Okay, now look, Egal. Okay. So let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest and let's be real right now.
He's sitting on his high horse because Arsenal got a few players in.
Let's be honest.
Roy, don't even do that because you agree with me, but you're just trying to back.
No. Okay. Look,
I do agree with you. I do agree with a lot.
So don't do that.
No. But look, so let's be real. 100%. Chelsea. I am worried. Because the season starts next week.
You can't not be worried.
It's Everton, and after Everton, it's then Tottenham afterwards at the bridge. And when your manager comes out and says there are people at this club who obviously want to leave, who are not 100% here. I've only gotten 2 out of the 6 targets I want. When the manager publicly says that this team ain't ready, it's worrying. I look at that Arsenal game, forget the results. It's the physical condition. Arsenal look like they could have played a Premier League game the next day. Chelsea look like if they need another 5 or 6 weeks physically to be ready for a fully competitive Premier League game. That's worrying. Now, let's see what happens against Udinese. But Chelsea are completely not in a good way. Marcos Alonso wants to go to Barcelona. Azpilicueta, the captain, he wants to go to Barcelona. So already the dressing room is fractious with guys who are, am I staying, am I going? And look, man, like the only thing I'm holding on to is the transfer window is still a long way away. And there is still a long way to go. And there's still several weeks to go. But you have to panic now. Because if you're like, oh, we cool and everything, look left, look right. Oh, transfer window is done. So Chelsea have to hurry up, get Skriniar, get an attacker. You have to act quickly because I think Chelsea have to admit this. You can't go for a target that Barca wants. I'm sorry. You just can't. You just can't. It is what because it's ridiculous that these guys have like punked us like 3 out of 3. So go out and get a target who you know you're going to get 100%. That fits what Tuchel wants and start building a team. Because my fear is, bro, my fear is Bram ain't here anymore. Shout out to boy Putin. But if Chelsea go through the season and it's win, loss, draw here, who knows how Bowley will react? Because we don't. If it's under Abramovich, Tuchel's going to get sacked. Bowley could be like, let me just sort things out. Okay, 6th, 5th, it's all good. Let things be fine financially. And Tuchel can now actually be allowed to be mediocre. Whereas under Abramovich, there will always be that pressure. So there is that worry that Chelsea's lost to get a trophy. Because for me, I'm not looking for top 4. Chelsea go win that freaking trophy. So
you would say sack Tuchel if results early in the season, say up to November, aren't going your way and you're sitting 6th. You would hope he'd be sacked.
I would be considering it. Let me give you that. I would be considering it because
that's mad. Considering he hasn't got his targets, and considering the takeover, I don't know why Chelsea is surprised things ain't smooth.
But how much time should we give to this student now?
Before the season, innit? With this transfer, it was never going to be like, all right, this new owner is going to come in and hit the ground running. There's obviously going to be this weird transition, and the guy obviously hasn't got all the personnel in place, director of footballs and this, that, and the other. But that's not Tuchel's fault. I think Tuchel could probably still get this team 4th, with just his capabilities as a manager and what he's got there. But I mean, you ain't going to challenge. But yeah, I think for him to be sacked like this season, I think you at least got to give him this season under the new ownership unless something drastic happens and he's like 8th, 9th.
You know what this is though? This is the least prepared Chelsea have been for a league campaign since like Antonio Conte's second
Yes,
season.
Gal, we get it. You think we're not
And
prepared.
the reality,
Arsenal look prepared. I get you're really happy.
They had a transfer ban,
This is
Igal.
a fact.
They had a
This is
transfer
a fact.
ban.
No, it's true. But I just wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask.
This is the least prepared you've been for a season.
No, it's true.
You still have an imbalanced squad. You still not sign your players.
No,
and the reality is,
Igal, I get it,
bro. If you don't get at least 3 of your targets that you're going to be going for the rest of the season, you're going to have a bad beginning of the season, and it could end up where you maybe don't even get into the top 4 at the end of the season. That's the reality.
I've got a question. Can I run another question for? I'll go on. Sorry, my friend. For West Ham as it goes.
About Bowley, you said, if things aren't going right, Tuchel, he might keep him around at the end of the season. I just want to play a bit of devil's advocate because, like, when owners come in, they want sort of everything in their way. They want people that they've brought in. And whilst Bowley might like him, he didn't bring him to the club. It was Mourinho and Roman that did. So do you think if, God forbid, results do go badly, that Bowley might say, listen, I didn't hire this guy and I thought he was good. He's not really doing enough for the squad. Like, do we make a move now?
Oh, no, but again, we don't know what is in Bowley's head. Remember, he's part of like a whole consortium and so forth. So we don't know what are his priorities and where he looks at Chelsea. Abramovich is a football fan. The guys who own PSG and the guys who own Man City, these guys are football fans. So they already have a pulse on managers, things, and so forth. For Todd Bowley, he's a businessman. He's a sports fan, but Todd Bowley is not as much integrated or has as much love for football as Abramovich or the guys who own Man City, Schickman, so on and so forth. So which is why I'm saying that I think he's more so that let me sort out this financial situation. It's my first year. His focus is sort out the finances and balance the books. Unless it's a total disaster, then I'll talk about it. But if it's 6th, 7th, in his mind is, look, just keep things afloat, keep the money flowing, let me sort this out financially. So I do feel that this could be a season in which Tuchel could be like, you're not under any pressure. I truly believe that Tuchel is not under any pressure because of Todd Bowley and these new guys trying to sort things out for the first year. I don't think he's in any threat of being sacked unless it is a complete disaster and like they're just like 8th or 9th.
Bro, I think everyone agrees with you there. But where did this pressure come from? Did it come from the lack of the back end of last season, or where did this pressure come from Tuchel? Because it seems like there's so much pressure on him right now after a preseason loss. It makes
Listen, as an outsider, I'd tell you why there's pressure on him, because he's at a football club where if they're not winning the major trophies, there's pressure. Like Chelsea don't do 3-4 year rebuilds, or they haven't done in the last 20 years, and they don't need a 3 or 4 year rebuild. Their squads. Most of this squad won a Champions League a few years ago. This squad, barring a couple of bad months, were very good last year. Got to the cup finals. This Chelsea squad and team are being spoken about like they're wolves. It's crazy to me. Now I understand it feels, and you were right to call this out a few weeks ago, Gal. It has become messy. You know, I've really felt like they were going to pull some of these deals. In fact, forget what I felt on 2 of these deals. Ben Jacobs told us the other day. Chelsea activated what they call their recruitment protocols. They believe that this time last week, Chelsea Football Club were briefing the media, their tier ones. This deal's done. Sevilla started their protocol to releasing him. We've started the protocol to buying him. They thought it was over. And then they've just lost some deals they thought were absolute shoo-ins. So I know it feels like they're in a bad space, but I still don't think we should write off how good Chelsea Football Club are. You know, I think there's this element of, I've seen this happen to Chelsea on 3 or 4 occasions. Now, I don't remember the years, I'm going to be honest, but I remember going into campaigns where people thought, Chelsea are going to be washed. They're going to be also runs. And then they've been really, really good. I'm just not prepared. I can't write Chelsea off. They've just been a thorn in everybody's side. Even when we thought they're going to be bad, they've had one really bad season in 20 years. I just think it's crazy to write Chelsea Football Club.
But sorry, it is a very Chelsea thing to do, and I'm sure Roy will know that. Chelsea are the kind of guys where things are going badly, they'll win a trophy out of nowhere. They're that kind of a club. But my worry is
Champions League. We were horrid under Lampard and somehow managed to pull it out of our ass.
And then 2012, look at what happened with Villas-Boas to begin that campaign when we won it in 2012. So my issue is you shouldn't just sort of rest upon that. I feel that the team is quality and good. But what we're not seeing is Kante is crucial to this team. And if Kante is not at his very best, this team cannot function very well. the attack is trash. The attack is trash. And I've always said, no offense to Mount. If Mount is Chelsea's best player, Chelsea are going nowhere. Because Mount was the reason why Chelsea lost both of those finals to Liverpool. He was the reason. So for Chelsea to try, like Chelsea, this team needs a rebuild. And there needs to be new guys coming in. Because if you just rest on this same core, yet again, that seems to be slowly falling away and disintegrating and so forth, and the guys who are underperforming,